This topic is all about how humans respond to the environment, okay, or how our bodies are naturally equipped to be able to respond to the environment. So now we need to just look at the two systems that help us to be able to to respond to the environment. Okay. So basically, what is this human response thing that we are talking about? Humans basically need to respond to the environment so that they can be able to survive. So the whole purpose of this is survival. You guys know that we are here on the world to be able to survive. It's all about survival, right? And for that to happen, we need to be able to respond to the environment. Our bodies need to be able to respond to the environment in some way. For example, when it is hot, your body sweats. You guys already know that the sweat is going to cool you down, right? For example, when you've got too much sugar inside your blood, the sugar it is stored inside the liver, and then it is used later on. That is all the body's response to the environment, right? So now there are two systems that are responsible, or there are two systems that control and coordinate those responses. There are two systems in our body that help us to be able to respond to the environment. We have got the nervous system, which is the one that we are going to be talking about throughout this topic. And we also have got the endocrine system. But when we are referring to this topic specifically, we are going to dig deep more when it comes to the nervous system. And we are going to do the endocrine system later towards your exams, just a short topic. And you guys already know it from grade 11. All right. So the nervous system is described as a fast responding system that helps you, that saves you. It helps save you from what? From danger. So it's a quick response. So the nervous system, it is the quickest thing ever. For example, right now, you can be able to hear my voice. You can be able to touch things and feel them. And you can be able to perceive things. You can be able to see things. All of that is done by the nervous system. In fact, if you guys did not know, you don't actually see with your eyes. You see with your brain. You don't actually hear with your ears. You hear with your brain. You don't actually feel with your skin. You feel with your brain. It's just magical. Your brain is the one that interprets everything that happens inside your body. So basically, your ears are just they're just openings so that sound can be able to enter, but the sound is actually perceived by the brain. Okay, your eyes are just for light to be able to enter inside your eyes, but the eyes are not seeing anything. It's all your brain, and it happens so fast because you cannot be able to even differentiate. I'm sure some of you guys don't even believe me when I say Uti, your eyes don't actually see anything, because it's something that is so quick, it's something that is so fast. All right. So for example, if you are looking at this screen right now, the light that is entering into your eye, it is actually converted quickly into these things known as impulses, and then they go to your brain, and then your brain will start interpreting them as vision. And then you start saying, "Hi man, this is a letter written F, this is a letter written A, this one is written S, this one is written T." So basically, it's all about the nervous system. The nervous system is a fast responding system. That is the one that helps you to save you from danger. And it can help you save, it can help save you from danger, and it also helps you to live, basically. Your senses are using the nervous system. All right. So now we also have the endocrine system, which we are not going to be deeper in it, which is a slower system. It is much of a slower response system, and it is the one that uses hormones. We are still going to learn about the endocrine system in the next topic, but for now, we are dealing with the fast responding system that helps save you from danger, aka the nervous system. The nervous system, it actually involves these things that are known as nerves. So we're still going to learn on what actually nerves are, but the nervous system, it involves these things that are known as nerves. And then the endocrine system, as I've already told you guys, it involves hormones. Remember, guys, I told you that the nervous system, it is a fast responding system, or it's a quick responding system. It helps your body to respond quickly to whatever environmental condition is there. all right? But your endocrine system is a bit slower, all right? But the nervous system, it uses nerves, while your endocrine system, it uses hormones. We're still going to look at what are the nerves, all right? So now, basically, a stimulus is the first term that you need to understand. When we are talking about a stimulus is just a detectable change. So we say it's a detectable change in the external environment or the internal environment. So a stimulus is anything that is happening outside your body or inside your body. For example, let's just say right now, your body has got too much sugar or your blood has got too much sugar. That's an internal stimulus, or it is a change that is happening inside your body. When you're talking about external stimulus, let's just say right now it is very hot and you start sweating. So that heat, it is a what? It is a stimulus. A stimulus is simply a change in the external environment or the internal environment. But for this topic, for the nervous system, we'll be focusing mostly on the change in the external environment. Let's just say, for example, it is cold and then all of a sudden it changes and it becomes hot. That is a stimulus. So don't overthink a stimulus. A stimulus is just any change that is happening outside your body. And then why do we even need to know that change? It is because the change is the one that stimulates your body to respond in a certain way. For example, guys, right now it is not that much hot. At least where I am, it is not that much hot. So if it becomes hot all of a sudden, my body actually starts responding and I start sweating. Why am I sweating? It's because the stimulus has caused my body to respond in a certain way. So basically, a stimulus, the word stimulus actually comes from the word stimulate. Okay, a stimulus is any change that can stimulate your body to respond. So a stimulus is anything that can cause your body to respond in a certain way. I mean, for example, right now, if it starts getting hot, I'll repeat that example again. If it starts getting hot, my body will start sweating. So my body is responding with respect to what the outside condition is. My body is responding with respect to a stimulus. So a stimulus is just any change in the external environment. We are going to just take the external environment part because for the internal environment, usually we are going to use the endocrine system to describe that response. Are we still together, Great House?
Yes.
All right. So now, I want us now to go deeper on the human nervous system. So we now need to go deeper on the what? On the human nervous system. All right. So now, why do we even need the nervous system as humans? Why do we need the nervous system? Basically, the nervous system, as I've already told you, is basically the one that helps you to be able to react to stimuli. Okay, stimuli, it is a plural for stimulus. Okay, if it is one, we say it is stimulus. So I'm just going to write down here and say that we say it is a stimulus if it is one change that is happening. But if there are many, we just give them a plural stimuli. Okay. But remember, it's simply the change in the outside environment, or it is anything else that is happening outside that causes your body to be able to respond in a certain way. So basically here, there is a need for a nervous system so that we can be able to react to that stimuli. Your body reacts, your nervous system is the one that actually helps you to respond to the outside environment. Usually we're going to pick the external environment. The internal environment, we're going to do it in endocrine system. Okay. So, and also the human nervous system also coordinates various activities in the body. It is not all about reacting to a dangerous situation such as heat or something like that. There are many other functions. For example, I told you guys that you don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. You don't hear with your ears, you actually hear with your brain. So basically all of those activities, they are controlled by the nervous system. In fact, the nervous system, it is the most essential of all systems in your body. It's because it's the one that actually enables you to be able to live. For you guys to be able to hear me, see things, feel things, it's all about the nervous system. So now we can just make it lighter a bit by dividing the nervous system into two main sections. So the nervous system can be splitted into a central nervous system as well as a peripheral nervous system. All right, so the central nervous system, it includes the brain and the spinal cord. So when you're talking about the central nervous system, it is the brain and the spinal cord, those two. Whenever I just say central nervous system, we are referring to the what? To the brain as well as the spinal cord. So those are the most important. We call them central nervous system because actually each and every message or each and everything that is traveling in your body, it actually needs to go through the brain and the spinal cord. As I've already told you guys that your senses right now, for you to be able to perceive the sound that you're hearing from my voice right now, it is because your brain is the one perceiving it. So it kind of becomes the center of everything. All right. So we say it's a central nervous system. The central nervous system just emphasizes that basically each and everything in the body is reported to the brain and the spinal cord. Each and every activity or each and every response the body will have on the external environment, it all goes through the brain and the spinal cord. Sometimes it only goes through the brain, sometimes it goes through the spinal cord alone, but sometimes it's both of them. But at the end of the day, each and every response or each and every event that happens in your body that will require the control or response to the environment, it will definitely go through the brain and the spinal cord. So guys, let's not underestimate the power of the brain and the spinal cord. That is why when your brain is dead, you cannot be able to work. You cannot be able to do you cannot be able to do anything because your brain perceives each and every element, each and every sense. Smell. You don't smell with your nose, guys. You smell with the what? With the brain. Brain is the one that interprets everything. Okay. And it is assisted or it is helped by the spinal cord. You guys already know the spinal cord. The spinal cord is found just at your back. All right. I don't know if I've got a diagram here. So this is the central nervous system. I'll show you the central nervous system. What are we referring to? We say that the central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. All right. The central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord. In fact, all information that is to do with the body responding to the external environment. All information, it is sent to the brain and the spinal cord. So here is the brain here. So the brain is just found on your head. You guys already know that the brain is found on your head. So here is the brain here. I'm sure you guys can see it. And then the spinal cord is actually attached to the brain. I don't know if you guys knew that, but tada, you now guys know. So here you can see that here the spinal cord is attached to the what? It is attached to the brain. So the brain and the spinal cord, this combination, okay, the brain and the spinal cord as a whole, this combination together, it is what? It is the central nervous system. So your body, each and everything that's happening in your body, it is all reporting to the brain and the spinal cord. That is why you can see here we have got nerves, or you guys can see that we've got these things that look like they look like sticks, these blue sticks here. These blue sticks are actually called nerves. So we call them nerves because we say that the nervous system, it works with nerves or it uses nerves. Nerves, what are nerves? Nerves are just those things that transport information. Okay. They transport information from the outside environment to your central nervous system, or they transport it to the brain and the spinal cord, because that is where all the information must be reported, Kratos. Let's say, for example, it becomes very hot outside. In the outside environment, it's very hot. Your skin, the nerves in your skin will be able to detect that heat. So if there's a lot of heat outside, it is very hot all of a sudden. So the stimulus is heat now, because now we are bringing heat into the equation. So it is very hot. The sun is smoking. How does your brain even know that the sun is very hot out there? It is because of these nerves. So the nerves are the ones that actually transport the information. or it transports the messages and transports them to where? To the brain and the spinal cord, because the brain and the spinal cord are the central nervous system. In fact, the brain and the spinal cord, they interpret each and every piece of information the body feels. That is why I tell you that it's all about your brain. In fact, it's all in your mind. Each and everything that you feel is not felt by any part of your body, but it is all in your brain. So the central nervous system, it is the brain and the spinal cord. They are attached together. And then that is the what? That is the central nervous system. Each and every nerve, it actually transports information from different parts of the body so that it goes to the brain. For example, let's just say if we take this person and then we bring a hot object. So if I bring a hot object here at the feet of this person, I just bring a stove. Let's just say, I'm just a naughty kid. I bring a stove, and then the stove, it is very hot. So basically, how does the person end up feeling that this stove is hot? Because even feeling something, it is your brain that is feeling. It is not your legs or something. No, it is your brain that is feeling that. Right? So basically, if I place a hot surface underneath your legs right now, the information will be carried by the nerves, and then it will move up, going where? It is going to only one place, the central nervous system, guys. The central nervous system checks every piece of information from different parts of your body so that it can initiate a certain response. It's a certain response. So each and everything reports to the brain and the spinal cord. So hence we call it the main nervous system or the central nervous system. We usually use CNS as an abbreviation. Then now we have got the peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system, it is all the other nerves outside the central nervous system. So this is all the other nerves outside the central nervous system. What nerves are we talking about here, guys? We are talking about these nerves that are actually transporting the information itself. Because basically you guys can see a lot of these blue stick-like things. I told you guys that they're known as nerves. And what is the function of nerves? The nerves just transport information from different parts of the body to the central nervous system. So the nerves are called the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so the central one is kind of the mother of everything. So the central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord, it is the mother for all information. You report everything to it. Each and every part of the body reports information to the brain and the spinal cord. All right, but now what I'm telling you is that those nerves that are actually transporting the information from different parts of the body, they form what we call a peripheral nervous system. It is a secondary nervous system. It actually all reports to the central nervous system. It all reports to the brain and the spinal cord. So if you are seeing these blue things here that are around this person, the nerves here, those nerves, they are actually transporting information. And those nerves, they form what we call a peripheral nervous system. But we guys can already see the idea of saying the central nervous system is the mother of all. It gets all reports from the peripheral nervous system. What is the peripheral nervous system again? It is simply these nerves that are collecting information from different parts of the body. And then this information is all coming to a central nervous system, specifically the brain and the spinal cord. So now we can then now further our classification and now say this central nervous system, what branches does it have? Okay, so there's a branch that has not been mentioned here. I'm just going to write it in my PowerPoint slide so that you guys can be able to understand what is happening. So we say that here, guys, the nervous system is divided into two main sections. So we say that the nervous system is divided into two main sections. We have got the central nervous system. I'm just going to write CNS. And we also have got the peripheral nervous system. I'm going to write PNS. So this is peripheral nervous system. So I've already told you that the central nervous system is the spinal cord as well as the brain. So this is the the spinal cord, and the brain. So these make up the central nervous system. All information is reported to the spinal cord and the brain. And then now the peripheral nervous system, those are the nerves that are sending the information to the central nervous system. So the peripheral nervous system, it is made up of two different types of nerves. So we have got cranial nerves. Okay. All right. So we have those cranial nerves as well as the spinal one. So we have got cranial and spinal nerves. Okay. So when we did that that diagram, it didn't specify, but I'm specifying for you guys to see. All right. So we said nervous system divided into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. And then now the peripheral nervous system, remember, it is just the nerves that are transporting the information from the what? From different parts of the body, transporting the information to the central nervous system, transporting the information to the mother body, which is the what? Which is the central nervous system, the spinal cord and the brain. So now we have got cranial nerves as well as spinal nerves. So now what's the difference between these, right? So the cranial nerves, they are found within the cranium. You guys already know that the cranium, we are referring to the what? We are referring to the head, the skull, right? The skull, the hard part of the skull in your head. That is known as the cranium. So when we're saying about cranial nerves, so these are the nerves that are found on the cranium. Okay. These ones, you cannot really see them from this diagram, of course, because, you know, the diagram is just showing here. It's just pointing on the cranium. Really, the cranial nerves, they are only found within the skull. So you are less likely to see them from this diagram. But the ones that you guys can see all over the body, those are known as the what? The spinal nerves. So the spinal nerves are the ones that are filling the entire body. You guys can see all of these blue things, right? So these blue nerves that are coming from different places in the body, those are known as spinal nerves. So we call them spinal nerves. They actually transport information from different parts of the body and they bring it towards the central nervous system. But now we also have got cranial nerves, which are found at the cranium. The cranium, remember, is just the skull, or it is actually the biggest bone that is found, that is making up the shape of your head to be round the way it is. So the peripheral nervous system can be classified further into a spinal nerves and the cranial nerves. The spinal nerves, they are found all over your body, coming from different places, collecting different pieces of information from different parts of the body, all the way to the brain and the spinal cord, or to the central nervous system. So the peripheral nervous system is classified into two sections: cranial nerves, spinal nerves. Are we together, grade 12s?
Yes.
Okay, cool. With that in mind, now we can look at a further classification there under the peripheral nervous system. So I want us to look at the autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system, all right? So these ones, they actually fall under the spinal nerves, because I've already told you guys the cranial nerves, the ones that are found in your skull, you are less likely to see them. We're going to talk less about them. You guys should just know that cranial nerves, they exist. They are nerves found in your skull, transporting information within the skull itself. But the spinal nerves, you should take note of them because they are the ones that are transporting information from different parts of the body all the way to the CNS. So here, when we are talking about the two other classifications, so I'm going to add two other classifications here. Under spinal nerves, I'm going to say that we are going to have an autonomic nervous system as well as a somatic nervous system. So I'm just going to write ANS and I'll show you the full name already. And then this is SNS. All right. So under the spinal nerves, we're going to look at the autonomic nervous system as well as the somatic nervous system. But the somatic nervous system, we're not going to expand into it. We are going to look specifically at the autonomic nervous system, which is further divided as well into two branches, which is going to be the sympathetic branch and the parasympathetic branch. So we're just going to explain all of it. What is this in the first place? So we've got a sympathetic and we have got a parasympathetic. Okay, so we need to understand first of all, what in the world are we talking about when we are referring to the sympathetic, parasympathetic, autonomic, and stuff like that? All right, so back to our guide here, right? So now we are going to now look at them. We are going to look at the autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system. So the peripheral nervous system, specifically the spinal nerves, guys, they are divided into an autonomic nervous system and the somatic nervous system. Okay, so we're going to start with the somatic one because we're not going to expand too much into it. So the somatic nervous system, what is that? The somatic nervous system is just all parts of the nervous system that does what? That enable the body to react to changes in the external environment. So the term somatic relates to the body. When you say somatic cell, for example, in meiosis, we are referring to a body cell. So the somatic nervous system is just including every other part that enables that enables the body to react to changes in the external environment, react to changes that are happening outside the body, right? Specifically outside the body, external environment. So for example, if it happens that I just bring some hot surface, or maybe mistakenly you put your hand on top of the stove, your body will react. You will eventually pull out your hand from the stove, right? So basically it's because of the somatic nervous system. It actually responds to whatever change happened outside the body, an external environment. Hence, we're not going to go deeper into it, but we are going to look a bit more into the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is basically the parts of the nervous system that control the internal environment. So these ones, they do what? They control the environment inside your body. So they want to control what is happening inside your body. All right. Let's say, for example, your blood is moving too fast. You've got high blood pressure. Okay, let's just say, your blood is constricted, or maybe your blood vessels they are constricted. We are going to say that you've got high blood pressure. You guys already know this thing of high, right? High simply means now your blood vessels are kind of constricted, and then your blood is now having more pressure and cannot flow easily. Okay, so all of that is something that is happening within your body or within you in the internal environment. Internal environment is all about changes that are happening inside your body. So those changes happening inside your body, they need to be controlled by the autonomic nervous system. So it is opposite to the somatic one, because the somatic one, it is dealing with anything that is happening outside the body. I gave you an example. Let's say, for example, it gets hot outside the body. That is the somatic nervous system will respond. But for the autonomic nervous system, let's say something happens inside your body. Let's say your blood has got problems inside the body. The autonomic nervous system can be able to respond based on that problem, because the autonomic nervous system deals with the internal environment. It deals with what's happening inside the body. And for that to happen, it has got two systems, or we can say it has got two branches that help it to do that. So the autonomic nervous system consists of a parasympathetic branch as well as a sympathetic branch. So you can call them parasympathetic nervous system and say it's the other one, it's a sympathetic nervous system, but there's not even a need to say that. You can just say it's a parasympathetic branch and a sympathetic branch. So those two are kind of subdivisions, and they help us to actually end up having this autonomic nervous system. Because the autonomic nervous system, where does it respond? It actually interferes whenever there are changes inside the internal environment, and then they need to be maintained, or your body needs to be maintained. I gave you an example of this blood thing, okay? So whenever there are changes inside your body, all right, that is the autonomic nervous system. But for it to be able to carry out those tasks, it has got two sections or two branches that help it. It is the parasympathetic branch as well as the what? As well as the sympathetic branch. So these two, they act opposite to one another. That's the first thing. So they act opposite to one another. So these ones, they act opposite to one another. Act opposite to each other. So the sympathetic branch, it does the opposite of what the parasympathetic branch does, because we are trying to control, guys. Whenever we need to control something, we need two things that will act in the opposite way. Whenever you want to control a thing, so you need something that will be able to increase and something that will be able to decrease, kind of something like that. But you guys will get it more if we do examples. But basically, the autonomic nervous system is trying to control the internal environment by using two branches, either the parasympathetic as well as the sympathetic. So the fact that they act opposite to one another, because here I said that they do what? They act opposite to one another. This term of acting opposite to one another, we usually like to use the term double innervation. So we say that they've got double innervation. I don't know if this I don't know if this English term is correct. I don't know if it's intervention or innervation. You guys will confirm that. That's your task. But basically, those two branches under the autonomic nervous system, they act opposite to one another. So when one thing stimulates something to happen, the other one, it actually does the opposite. Okay. So basically, in simple terms, those two branches, they are the ones that actually help the autonomic nervous system to be able to control the internal environment, to be able to control whatever it is happening inside the body, any changes inside the body. But changes outside the body will have to employ the somatic nervous system. So we have got a double innervation there, the term double innervation. Okay, so those are the branches and those are the divisions. We'll get to be specific now and just explain each one as an overview, but I've already told you the most important parts, right? So basically, under the central nervous system, I already told you that we've got a brain and a spinal cord, Bretos, a brain as well as a spinal cord. So we're just going to look an overview of the central nervous system, particularly the brain, because I'm not sure if you guys are going to do the spinal cord, but we are going to look at the brain especially. I should say that we've got a brain and a spinal cord. Each and every one of those has got a specific structure, but we're going to start with the brain first, right? So the brain and the spinal cord, they are protected. So remember, guys, that these are organs that are working, so they need protection from other organs, all right, or from other membranes or cells. So basically, the brain and the spinal cord, they are protected by meninges as well as the cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, kind of steep English there. Don't know if you guys can see the steepness of the English, but basically here, the brain and the spinal cord, or the brain and the spinal cord, or you can say that the central nervous system as a whole, it is controlled, or they are protected by the meninges and the cerebrospinal fluid. So those two, they act as a source of protection. They protect the brain from mechanical injury and each and everything else. You guys already know that whenever something is working, okay? So whenever something is working, it needs protection. So the meninges is just membranes, guys. It's not that much of a big deal. It's just membranes that are covering the brain, the spinal cord. So if you are seeing the brain like this, guys, it is actually covered by certain layers, and those layers, they are known as the meninges. So the meninges have got 3 layers, but you guys don't need to get too much deep into that. But you guys must know that something known as meninges exists. So meninges are simply membranes that does what? That surround and protect the central nervous system. So it means that they surround and they protect the brain and the spinal cord. While cerebrospinal fluid, it functions as a shock absorber and prevents dehydration. So cerebrospinal fluid, it is a fluid, guys. A fluid is something that is a liquid, a kind of fluid substance. You guys kind of get the sense of fluid, right? It's kind of something, okay, how can we describe a fluid? But something that can flow. Yeah, basically, it's just a substance that can flow. It's a fluid. So it acts as a shock absorber. It absorbs shock or it prevents mechanical injury. Let's just say you fall down right now. Your body, your brain and spinal cord, they do not experience the injury because there's something to absorb the shock, which is the cerebrospinal fluid. And it also prevents drying out. So let's go now for a 10 minutes break. We'll come back, guys, to be able to study the structure of the brain.